Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Corey McKinney. Look, a couple months ago I made a video surrounding the team Fluminense and just how much success they've had under such a wonderful manager with Diniz, and because of that I got kind of tuned into the Brazilian life, right? The Brazilian way of playing football, and it really sparked an interest in me. And so intermittently in between some more videos that I'll be doing, I'm going to just take a dive through the Brazilian history of football, because it's really, tapped into an interest of mine, and I want to explore it. I want to know more about it. I think that the way of play is incredible, and I know that there's a decorated history here with incredible players that have come out of Brazil. And so without further ado, the very first video I want to talk about and react to is this Brazil 1 Germany 7 a World Cup humiliation. So you got to start somewhere, right? And I think this is the place to start. Let's see one of the worst time in Brazil. That way I can only see great things that come after.
The 2014 World Cup produced a semi-final that nobody will ever forget. It was chaotic and yet also ruthless. And it began with 30 minutes that were so humiliating it amounted to a national tragedy and left a sporting wound which might never fully heal. This is the story of Brazil 1, Germany 7. When host nation Brazil progressed to the semi-final of their own tournament, they could afford to feel quietly confident. In the first knockout stage, they'd survived a stern examination by Chile to win on penalties, and then against Colombia in an enormously physical encounter, a fabulous David Luiz free kick saw them prevail 2-1 over what, to that point, had been one of the teams of the tournament. That game cost them Neymar, who would miss the semi-final with a back injury. But with every round, momentum had been building, and the emotional a cappella rendition of the Brazil national anthem ahead of their games depicted a country surfing a wave of optimism towards footballing destiny. And why shouldn't they have been confident? Brazil had not lost a World Cup semi-final in 76 years.
What?
And had not been beaten in a competitive match at home in 39. What? Enter the Germans. Since qualifying from their group, they'd needed extra time to beat Algeria and had scored a single goal to squeeze past France. Nobody could have foreseen what followed. The Brazil actually started off quite well, with Marcelo enjoying the first real chance of the game. But after 11 minutes, everything changed. Thomas Müller was left hopelessly free from a corner, and he volleyed past Julio Cesar. It was the beginning of the most extraordinary 18 minutes in international footballing history. On 23 minutes, it was 2-0. Miroslav Klose tucked away a rebound to become the highest goal scorer in World Cup history. And almost from the kick-off, it was 3, when Toni Kroos beat Cesar at his near post and then celebrated by holding his hands to his face in disbelief.
Wait a minute, let me make sure I got this right. 11 minutes, goal 1. 22 minutes, goal 2, 24 minutes, goal 3. What happened? I've got to go back and watch the game film on this. I kind of remember this in 2014. I knew that soccer existed. I knew that it was a sport. There were a couple guys in my school that were, I was in high school. That was my senior year of high school. There were a couple guys in my school that were, kind of tuned into it or whatever. And talking about this, and I remember them like hyping up Brazil, and then I didn't hear anything else after that. I didn't even know that their, what the outcome was or anything, but hearing that it went this way, dude.
The fourth Germany goal followed 2 minutes later, when Fernandinho was uncharacteristically robbed of possession just in front of his own box, and Kroos again tapped home after a 1-2 with Sami Khedira. And at 28 minutes, it was 5. Khedira turned scorer after Mesut Ozil had tied the Brazilian defence into a knot. Now, tactically, it was an extraordinary collapse. The Brazilian midfield was non-existent. Their defence, which was admittedly without captain and linchpin Thiago Silva, seemed confused and desperate, and was constantly chasing back into position. Emotionally, too, the Brazilian players seemed incapable of processing the crisis that was developing around them. And that wasn't just on the pitch. As the television cameras cut to the stands, the reactions of the home fans, with their replica shirts and painted faces, grew more extreme with each goal conceded. It was an extraordinary spectacle to witness. As the Athletic's Daniel Taylor, who was in Belo Horizonte...
I mean, you just think about it for a second. Like, one, now I've been at some high school soccer games, and I've watched these teams, and I've seen a team go down 2-0, 3-0, and the look on their faces on the field, you can tell the momentum. It's like they have the life sucked out of them. How do you do that on the biggest stage ever that there ever is when it comes to this game? How do you process 5-0? How do you process that? I don't think that you can. I don't think that there is any reasonable way to think. You know, you have to understand in that moment that you've probably lost, and the game's not even close to being over yet. But the insurmountable, like, think about how many teams have scored 5 goals in an international sense, right? It's not common. It's not easy to do, and to think that they had to process in real time on the national stage at the very beginning of the flipping game that they had already lost it all, man, that's a lot. That's tough.
Reporting for The Guardian recalled, there was a point after 0-0 had raced to 0-5 in the space of 18 minutes when the goals were coming too quickly to take accurate notes. There were people screaming, literally screaming, beside the press box. The first line of Taylor's match report described the game as the night Germany removed the crown from football royalty. It might even have been more humbling. Remembering his team's dressing room at half-time with a 5-0 lead and a place in the final secure, German head coach Jogi Löw recalls urging restraint. I didn't want anyone to make a fool of the Brazilians in front of an audience of millions. The respect the Brazilians showed to us across the country was enormous. And for me, it was completely unthinkable that we should humiliate them or to show arrogance towards them.
Wow.
The second half passed in a blur. Germany would score another 2 goals, almost apologetically, and Oscar would also pull one back. But the damage had been done long before. At full time, several of the Brazilian players were inconsolable. More than one of them was in tears, as the Estadio Mineirão hummed with boos and the whole world shook its head with disbelief. I was watching at home with my wife, and after the 3rd goal went in, she started to cry, said Tite, who led Brazil in the 2022 World Cup. That started me off. The 7-1 is like a ghost. It's present. People still talk about it. But the more you talk about it, the less likely it is that the ghost disappears.
Man, I don't even know what I would do as a fan in that moment. So I can't even imagine the players. You know, my gosh, what a crazy thing to have to deal with and go through. This Brazil journey is going to be fun. I'm glad that we got that one out of the way, because gosh dang, that's tough. Gosh, that's so tough. I know that historically, though, they've been fantastic. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing more and more of the Brazilian team. So look, if you want to join with me on this journey, liking, commenting, subscribing to this channel would go a long way for me. It would show that there's support for me as I take this trip. Hey, but you know what, even if not, I'm going to do it anyway, so for my own sake. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Corey McKinney. A couple months ago, I made a video surrounding Fluminense and their success under a really great manager. And what I began to realize was, alongside them and a couple of other, let me make sure that Fluminense is even in flipping Brazil. Gosh darn it, I could be an idiot here. Brazil, Fluminense. Yeah, Serie A. Football club known as more commonly as Flu is a Brazilian sports club. Okay, yeah, I'm not tripping. I knew that. That's fine. Back at it.